Gary, I've got to tell you a story about Port Melbourne, and you'll know the bloke because he played for Hawthorn. Actually, it's quite an interesting story because I barracked for Caulfield. I lived down in McKinnon, and it was just a bike ride away up to South Caulfield to watch the Bears play.
And we Bear Cave, Gary, Rene?
Yeah, very much so. Sunday night, Xanas.
Oh, yeah.
I was a life member there.
Oh, the Bear Cave. Bloody hell.
I got a life membership. Some guy gave me a medallion when I walked in one night.
And if it wasn't there, it was Ed Nicobella's at the Ferry Road.
So we had a full forward Caulfield, and then we could play. He played for Hawthorn, called Louis Milner.
Yes.
He's sort of more a surfer. And it's funny, because one day he was playing. We loved him, and there were two of his mates were up in the forward pocket where the barbecue used to be. And somebody asked me, they said, "Who's his mates? Are they from Hawthorn?" I said, "Yeah, one bloke I know, Michael Tuck. I reckon the other bloke must be some hack from the Rezzies." It was Gary Ablett. Yeah. So we had one big game against Port Melbourne, the big TV game. They put the hessian up so you couldn't see the ground from Bamborough Road. And Mick Robinson, the mad coach, he gave Louis one instruction. He said, "For Christ's sake, do not engage Bob Prophet." He said, "Bob's got a switch, and if you turn it on, there'll be bloody hell to play. So do not say a word to him." Halfway through the first quarter, I was at the ground. It was packed. There was this brawl, and Bob Prophet's just come out. He has belted players left, right, and centre. I mean, we had some skillful players like Shane O'Sullivan. He's a footballer, Shane. Until Bob put a fist right through his forehead. He did not see out that quarter. There was mayhem. And apparently Mick at quarter time said to Louis, "For God's sake, mate, I told you not to engage him. What did you say to him?" He spat on him. He said, "I didn't say a word. I spat."
Yeah.
Port won comfortably. Bobby Prophet took a fair few. He took a fair few with him, Bob. He was quite the footballer.
He wouldn't have been on his own then, fighting, Sammy Holt, obviously, guys that were just, super tough.
Georgie Allen.
Yeah, Georgie Allen, and even little block of Goss as well. I think he might have played in 4 premierships. So, and Gusher, Kevin, and obviously Normie Jr. as well. So, yeah, there's a lot of history.
It was a funny team because, they had these incredibly tough players, Biff Dermott, and they had another guy off the halfback flank, another lunatoid. I can't remember who he was.
But I don't reckon we should be talking about football. I think we should be talking about the Bear Cave.
The Bear Cave, I tell you what. You and Gary.
They were outside runners too, Port Melbourne. Remember Anderson and Abaya?
Yes, Tony Abaya and Arms Anderson, they used to call him Finey. And, of course, Nicobella's was certainly a big night on a Sunday night after winning the flag. That was always a nice little time down there. You had the keys to Whole of Glen Ferry Road.
You won flags, Gary. I couldn't get there, unfortunately.
Yeah, Rene, correct me if I'm wrong, Rene. You have a VFA connection, don't you?
Yes, I was an outstanding superstar at Camberwell, second division with Sam Kekovich for 1 year. Unfortunately, my little bit of a knee operation, a couple of them, and small ones, no big deal, but I ended up playing 4 games. And the only great memory I've got about Sam is if in the event the opposition may get the ball, change your modus operandi and go your defence portfolio. and if that wasn't the case, he was at the bar and say, "Put a chin in the till and give us 20. And I think we won a few games when I was on the ground. I think we won 5 or 6. We were looking good there. And after that, I broke down and couldn't play the rest of the year. So we finished down the bottom. I think it was only second division that year. I think there's only 8 teams in the conference.
Yeah. The mighty Cobras.
Yeah, and Sam got me across for some stupid reason, and he was going to pay me X amount of dollars the whole, as Sam would tell you, and never happened. But you can't go past Sam. He's just such a lovable person, as we know. You've spoken to me many a time, as you two guys as well. So.
Very
I've got to
amazing.
ask, Gary, on a serious note, a year off. I mean, Port Melbourne's a great club, and I'm sure that, you know, with the great support of, and you've got a great sponsor this year, by the way, the CFMEU, of course, but there'll always be a rallying point around at Port Melbourne. But I'm worried about some of the other standalone clubs. Can they withstand a year of no football and having to, you know, so many volunteers, so much effort put in for some of these standalone clubs just to get on the field? It might be a bridge too far in 2021.
Yeah, I certainly hope not, Finey. One of the really positive stories that came out just recently was the fact that the Frankston Dolphins have actually just paid their debt off. So that's an amazing effort by them, because obviously they did have a year off and they were able to then find themselves in a position through unbelievable support. So, and Coburg have just had in the millions being spent on their ground as well. And obviously, I think Werribee with their facilities there probably a couple of years ago, I think it was well over 12 million that was spent there. So really, I think most of the standalones are actually in not too bad a situation. Look, obviously it can be better. Port Melbourne a couple of months ago launched what they called their Future Fund. So that's about, over the next couple of years, putting our brand and our product out there in the local community and even potentially further, and try to source different revenue streams, I guess, and try and raise in the vicinity of a couple of $100,000. So, you know, we're the most successful VFL team in the 145-year history. So we want to continue to do that. But I think there's also, too, Finey, been a fair bit of negativity about what's going on in relation to the whole second-tier competition. And we mentioned before about North Melbourne, but I see their VFL program's fallen over, and the good teams like Richmond and Footscray and Hawthorn have had really good second-tier alignments. So that's another way of developing and nurturing and educating your players that don't play for you on a regular basis. So I think at this stage, Finey, I think most of the standalones are actually sitting, you know, not too badly, but yeah, you wouldn't want another year of COVID, that's for sure.
No, we wouldn't want another year of COVID. I mean, you know, I saw you before, Rene. You were getting a bit of grief off screen. Now, was that from the producer or
my floor manager? Look,
Snagglepuss.
Snaggles is sitting on the couch. He's very quiet. He's got his son playing very soon, Essendon.
Yeah, that's right.
So he's looking forward to James playing, and no, he's in terrific form. And my floor producer, she's all over the kitchen at the moment, but I've got to sort it out. Yeah, it's all good.
Might have been adjusting the makeup, Rene.
Was Craig a big fan of Jimmy Stewart, the actor? Is that Craig Stewart, Jones?
Yeah. I'll ask him. I'll actually ask him. But no, he's terrific. And James's third game in. He hasn't played for quite a while because he had osteopubis, as we know.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to him stepping up again tonight and improving all the time. So
he was a tremendous exponent, Snagglepuss, of the art of kicking out from the fullback, the square there, wasn't he? It was a beautiful kick.
Yeah,
he was a very good kick. Craig played backline and forward line. He went on to Richmond, of course, and played 25 games there. And, 150 game player. So I think he played with me in a couple of grand finals at Collingwood, which we didn't win, of course. But very, very good player from Preston, and played forward and back. So, yeah, he was terrific.
And talking about a blast from the past, boys, wasn't the old movie The Club, wasn't that on TV the other night, mate?
I tell you what, Gary, I only had a couple of phone calls the other night. It was on Foxtel, is that right? $10, yeah. So just how lucky am I to keep bobbing up all the time, and Tanko O'Donoghue keeps getting the run. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Just keep getting the royalties, I hope, mate.
Were you getting around in your towel, just wearing a towel?
Yeah, at one stage I did the nude scene. The towel scene was very successful. He took one take, I think, or two. I can't remember. I think it was only one.
Yeah. Well, we can't see now, but he's got that same towel on underneath.
Yeah. No, it was. I've still got it here, but no, it's all good. It's all good. That was my poor manager.
Might be like a face washer now.
I got royalties for 6 years on that. I tell you, I think Troy, I told you I got royalties for 6 years.
You did, Rene? Yeah.
Yeah, for the South Australian Film Corporation, and the last cheque that came in was $37, and didn't I bank that in a hurry? I was down and out, desperate. I think I needed a soup lucky and a couple of dim sims or something for lunch one day. But I'm filthy that I didn't keep it and put it in the Collingwood Museum, because it would have been great to put a little story behind it with the club and so on and so on. But anyway, that's
you'll always be Australia's Marlon Brando, Rene, in my eyes.
Yeah. A floor manager wants to be the Rock, but it's a little bit late for that. A little bit more muscled up than me at the moment.
Just smell what Rene's cooking. Is that what you're saying, mate?
Gary, I've got dumplings to look forward to. I don't know what you've got.
Tell you what, he's all over the WWF. Oh, he knows his catch cries.
Yeah, my son loved it, so I used to sit there and watch it all the time with him. So maybe in a second life.
I love women's football. I think it's been a long time coming, and I really enjoy it. And I think it's something that's been brought to the table. And should have been done a long time ago. And I think it can only get bigger and stronger and better. And it sort of encompasses our football, and it makes it what we are in Victoria, particularly, and that's to bring us together. It's a gel, and it's something that we love talking about every week, and I think it's just the best thing of all time.
Yeah, I'd like to agree with Rene. I think one of the best things that came out of my coaching, I guess, appointment at Port Melbourne was certainly appointing Peter Searle as my assistant coach there back in 2012 and 13. Then she went on and, of course, has had a pretty successful time at St Kilda. So certainly in this day and age, I think it's a wonderful thing to have what we've obviously been doing all our lives, but now that we're seeing the girls do it. And it's great. Port Melbourne's got a team in the Southern Football League as well, so we're certainly big backers of the women's program, and think nothing better of seeing them coming through and being able to show what they can do, and some of them are extremely talented.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys are aware, at Collingwood they've got prior to COVID, they had 100 staff in that building down there at the Holden Centre to cover, of course, netball, football, women's football, and the men's football. And Eddie announced to
he's still in the men's football, Collingwood. I thought you'd given up on that, but
not quite. But Eddie mentioned last year that he's building a state-of-the-art medical centre right across the front of the Holden Centre in conjunction with the Monash Medical Centre, and they're spending about $75 to $80 million on the state-of-the-art medical centre for everyone to use as well, not just Collingwood. So that's going to happen. He said he's got about $35 million in tow, and going forward he will get the $75 million, because if anyone's going to get it, it'll be Eddie. So,
and I can tell you that is spot on, and they lead the world in terms of research and development because of Eddie on how to remove a foot when it's put in someone's mouth.
It's very Mark, as you're aware, everyone wants an Eddie Maguire at their club. They would kill for him, regardless if you like him or not. What he's done for football, and particularly Collingwood, of course, is amazing.
Yeah, look, you'd love an Eddie Maguire as president of your club.
Yep.
But then again, could you really take all the heat from the opposition fans? I mean, you'd have to have a thick skin to have Eddie. And now, seriously, he's
Mark, he's got to be a thick skin.
He's been brilliant. He has been. Gentlemen, we've almost come to the end of time. Look at the Collingwood man have a quick swill as soon as he heard time, gentlemen.
I think talk of the bear caves inspired Rene tonight.
Could I tell you one thing Can I tell you one thing I saw at the Bear Cave?
What?
I saw Marty McMillan come there with the two best-looking birds you've ever seen and leave with two different good-looking birds.
What a beautiful bloke. What a beautiful fella.
Mate, he had the interchange going well before the interchange, Marty McMillan. He'd turn up with stunners and leave with different stunners. And there is a great story about Port Melbourne at the Bear Cave. You know what they did one night there, Ayresy?
No, what's that funny?
We couldn't beat Port Melbourne, the football team, but we could play a prank on Port Melbourne. And I think it might have been one of the Gosses had a mini or a small vehicle, and four of the Caulfield players during the night decided they could lift that vehicle and place it between the toilets and the DC Bricker Pavilion, which was difficult for Gossy because there was just enough room for the car but no room to open any doors. When he saw his car, he thought, shit, I can get in through the dunny, but I can't possibly get out. And he had to convince the same four blokes to lift it out next morning.
I was very lucky. Mark. I was educated at Melbourne High, but unfortunately, because of the Bear Cave that I gave out on a Sunday night, I wouldn't get home till Tuesday, so I didn't see a lot of school during the week. So ended up being a lady's hairdresser, you know. Please.
We wouldn't have known that.
I wonder why.
They had a rule there at the Bear Cave. It wasn't how old you were. It was how tall you were. And that was to keep the greatest collection of reprobate jockeys out of that joint. God, there were a lot of jockeys there.
I remember particularly Wayne Trelaw and a number of jockeys, Chris Barrett, Greg Hall, all of them.
Do you remember Darren Triandafaloo?
Everyone's shoulders.
Do you remember Darren Triandafaloo?
Yep.
He could sit on a horse, but I saw him fall off a stool at the Bear Cave.
Oh, of course. Weren't they the best nights on a Sunday night?
Gunga Din. Yeah. Gentlemen, with that,
the modern footballer wouldn't understand how great of nights they were.
No, they wouldn't. That's exactly,
They've got to be professional.
And amazingly, what happened in the cave generally stayed in the cave as well. There weren't too many loose lips.
That was until Monday night's training when, of course, we all had to discuss what happened on the weekend, Finey.
There was boasting of you. And of course, the poor bastard that tried to keep this thing under control was Tony Jewell. As though he pulled out enough hair at Richmond. He'd be running around looking for Johnny Einsadell, and these guys were in various houses around East Brighton and Caulfield, sleeping on sofas. I brought a bloke home once, actually, Andrew Lovett's father. He played for St Kilda, a guy called, sadly has passed away, called Ian Barry. And he was a really good bloke and a very good footballer. And
what's his name?
Ian Barry.
Ian Barry, don't know.
Played a bit for St Kilda Reserves, a bit for Caulfield. My mother woke me up one Monday morning and said, Mark, I've got no problems, but there's a naked Aboriginal man asleep on the couch downstairs. Do you know who he is? I said, I hope it's Ian. That's the bloke. She said, no problems. I fell back asleep. I wake up about half an hour later. He's sitting there in my tennis shorts, nothing else, having breakfast with my mum. She's made him eggs and orange juice, and he's regaling her. They were good times.
Yep, you can't beat the 70s and 80s. Gary will tell you that.
Well, that's exactly right. I concur about that.
Yeah,
let's put a pin in that, and we'll do it all again next week. That was, Rene, that was Rene, by the way, a first. Audio and video. Well done to the producer.
Can you talk to that John Olb about this, will you, please? Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Next week.
Thanks,
yeah,
next week,
Gary.